Okay, I'm back with the Schoenberg Fantasy for violin and piano. I must say, from our first run-through with my partner Julian Ross, I discovered he knows the piece a lot better than I do. He did a rather significant research as a doctoral student and understands the nature of the compositional techniques sort of on a first-name basis with them at this point, and I need to catch up somewhat. I can't delve to such an extent, but it's really important for me to find the connectedness of things here and weaving the parts together with much greater seamlessness. So anyway, I need to be comfortable with the notation such that neither the metric spacing nor the notation of the pitches throws me. Those are both things that have to be done seamlessly with a sense of ease, and so that's what I'm going to try to do now. I think, well, good for me. I was going to find my phone, which I use as a metronome, but I'm going to use one of the old-fashioned metronomes instead. I do happen to have this pendulum-like metronome available, and I want to find out what 52 is. So, here's a 52. Click. 1 and 2. Yup, up, 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 up. Whoops. Up, 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 up. Okay, just as a frame of reference, because he's going. And that's thematic material that will recur in numerous guises. So, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 4, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1. Something I have to note as a reminder for what I discovered in rehearsal. There are retards often written, such as the one at measure 4 that lasts 1, 2, 2.5 measures. So it's all too easy to respond too quickly to what's happening here. The violin, at this point, reiterates the thematic material. And I want to be able to make room for him. Yum. Okay, so it's that kind of thing. This is true in any piece, that as you work it, you want to have a sense of fluency for things that naturally connect together. You don't want to have to interrupt the flow of something like that. And if that's to be true, then you need to know it well. So that's exactly what I'm working on now. Let's see. So if I were back at my ritard, ritenuto, I have a sound implying that something's in the piano. Yum, dum, bum, ba, 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 bum. Duh. Not quite comfortable yet. That's better. And da, ba, 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 ba. So, bum, ba, 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 bum, ba, ba. Too much thinking. Okay, here's a 3-4. 1, 2. I will admit, mea culpa, that one of the emotions I felt in rehearsal at times was panic which is to say, stuff's coming at you and there's just not enough time to deal with it because there's a newness, there's not a feeling of ease. So I've got to reach the point where I say, oh, 1, 2, 3, that kind of thing, rather than counting intensely. For example, this happens to be an acoustic figure to the third beat. So if I'm aware of that, 1, silly me, this is something I always have to be aware of, that numbers can represent fingerings and can represent count. So if I put the count where the fingering normally goes, I'm running risks. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2. Okay, that needs a review. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, ba, 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 1, da, da. Yeah. 3, 4, 1, 2. Now again, fitting it together, I need to have an oral impression of what's going on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 3, and 1, 2, 1. You may not be able to tell that what I'm doing is meaningful, but although I'm not singing it on pitch, I'm singing more or less rhythmically what the violinist is doing. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 3. Okay, that's 3, 3, 4 measures, very important. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Watch. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, so that was, by my estimation, completely arbitrary. In other words, this measure just happens to be spaced in a way that throws me every time, and I have to get over it. So, 1, and 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, and that may be wrong. 1, 2, 3, no, that's right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, and 2, and 3, 4, and so 1, 2, 1, and 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 3. This is the one that throws me. 3, and because the space that's used for the third beat, which is for me a missing beat, 2, and 3, and 4, and looks so much smaller than the space in which there's music written or notes written. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fine. 1, 2. I think I recalled when I came through this the first time, the right hand has a placement already, and it's tremendously important because that next, that 16th after the second beat, 1, 2, happens rather quickly. So there is time enough to replace the left hand. It's made it a lot easier that the right hand is already where it needs to be. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yes. Go to 2, go to 3. Okay, so this is one of those situations where 1, 2, 3, 4. If I just play the notes with the proper rhythmic identity, I don't have to count. The counting is taken care of by the little rhythms. Da-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum. So it's 1, 1 knee and da-da, 2, 1 and da-da, 3, and you end up on 3. So often that's what happens. You count like crazy to maintain a mental command over your material while you're on a second name basis, shall we say, with it. When you're on a first name basis with it, your whole body feels the sense of rhythm. So in this case, there's just a sense of ease. I understand that it's going the way it's going, that it's familiar. It doesn't hurt that I've chosen a fingering 2, 5. Okay, this may seem silly, but it's important. I tend to sometimes not deal with the mundane details of practice, remembering what lights get turned on so that I can see the music well or whatever. And I noticed a few rehearsals ago that I was just looking for the right writing implement and things were getting in the way. So I shoved all the things that are non-operative or not useful for this particular session to the left. I could have removed it entirely, but that would be too easy. Put my trusty writing implement on the right side along with my trusty eraser. So it should not be hard for me. I don't want to have to spend undue amounts of time looking for those things. They're really important tools. Anyway, let me go back to 12A, why ever he writes 12A, maybe. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. Oh, yes, 4. 1, 2. And that should be legato. It says legato. 2, 3, 4. 4, I'm going to write. So, this is the violin. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's the idea, but there should have been 4, and the reason is that I missed is exactly what I mentioned before. The music is not spaced in a fashion that indicates how big that third beat is. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. The 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. It becomes so much easier. Just a little bit of explanation. 1, 1. Even an explanation for why I reacted incorrectly to the score. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? I'm not convinced by the very fingering I worked on before. I may never be convinced one way or the other. I do know that I'm going to erase it for now and body determine later on what will work. 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1. Okay, when there's shifts in clef, in other words, when my eyes and my natural ability to read most things quickly isn't served well by that. In other words, when there's a lot going on that's disorienting, it's just necessary to define what's going on. So I have none of that is physically difficult. But I have to make note of that. I have to find the choreography. The physical connections, there we go. So it's a 3-1. Okay. These page turns, I will have to determine how I'm going to play this, whether it be in the original bound copy or electronic. But for now, this is a very useful way of practicing because then I never have a page turn. It means I can't play continuously throughout, but it also means I can avoid all page turns, which is very useful. 1, 2, 4, 4. And I said it. No, all kind of. My partner plays the 4th beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1, and 2, and 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There should be, well, this is the sort of very bad mistake. I went from page 4 to page 12, and that's one of the significant negatives of this loose leaf version of things. It may be good for page turns, but boy, you have to be careful. Especially because of the nature of the language. Until I'm really used to where it's going, of course, I'm going to make very bad mistakes like that. So, it goes from 4 to 5. So, in a way, that's very much rhythmically like 1, 2, 4. So he has. For me, what marks that is the 8th note rest on the 4th beat, then a long note on the downbeat. 3. Okay, so this is 4, should be 4, that was the mystery. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, and that is 1, 2, 1, 2, 4. 32nd note, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Another 32nd note. 1, 2, 3, 4. The difference between this one happens right on the 32nd of the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Interestingly, choosing a different fingering in my right hand seems to be significant. If I play this major third with a second, it doesn't tend to interfere with my left hand as much. If I play with a third, too much of my right hand moves over to my left. Yes. 2, 3, 4, and oops. Okay, back to pesante. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, yeah, 1, 2, 3, bum bum, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, almost. He's got 30-second notes. 1 da 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 and 2 da 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 and 3 da 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 and 4 da 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 da. 1 da 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 da. And my part has a downbeat inflection, which is of course a beat inflection. And the confusing part is, notationally, that all of those figures look the same, but and why shouldn't they be? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, it's the fourth one. I knew there was something fishy. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and the fourth one comes in 1/16th note later. Go. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. It's just one of those careful things. If you just look at it, if you read it, you'll never see it. Well, some people might, but I didn't. 1, 2, 1. I may even recall having made the wrong conclusion last time. But this is più molso, so it's 80. I want to know what 80 is approximately. May not be what we end up doing, but hard because it combines a variety of demands. The rhythm is one thing, reading the notes correctly or getting used to what the notes actually are is another. And of course it shifts my attention in a variety of ways that are distracting. So I think the right hand feels the most continuous, so I'm going to try to rely more on concentrating on the left hand. I might even use a fourth finger in the right hand to make this slur more accessible for me. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay. And what I do love is when you start to know something a little better, time does seem to slow down. The panic is removed in favor of saying, oh yes, I know where I am. I've got plenty of time to make that decision. But that was the wrong rhythmic decision. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Check the left hand. 3, 4. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Aha. 3, 4. Pick up to the fourth beat. 4, 4. 1, 1, 3, 1, 1. Useful when the macro rhythm, composite rhythm, results in an easy to spell out linear rhythm, which in this case is non-stop 16ths. But finding some of those other notes and finding some of those other placements will take a little go around again. So I'm at 27. 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 1, 2, 1, 1, and 2, 3. Okay, I need a fingering here. 2, 5. Right hand, 5, 3. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4. Okay, so this is the rhythm. 1 E and 2 E and 3, 3 and 4 and so in other words, 1, 2, 3 and ups. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 and. It's not that complicated, but it needs to be in my system and wasn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 1 E and 2 E and 3, 4 E and 1. Meanwhile, the violin part is going down. 1 to 2 and 1 to 2 2 2 2 2 1. How does that fit with me? He goes da 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 ba. So, I don't know if that was helpful to you. It might be with the score, but it's not a constant interaction. Sometimes we play at the same time, and sometimes we don't. So he goes to 1, 2, 2, 2. Then 2, 3, I have alone, 3. And the and of 3, we agree on. And then he plays non-stop 8/16ths, and I go bump, 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 bump. Oh, and I love repeated notes. Okay, and that's all part of a crescendo and a rit. And then 2. And this row. Well, I'll have to examine this further to make more sense out of it. Ask Julian. Bop, bop. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, and 4. 2 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1. Okay. That 1. That 1. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, but 1, 2, 3, 4. With more of that. I'm at the end of 28. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do. Suddenly I got cage. Aha. Sunglasses in the piano. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. 1. Okay. Things are proceeding, okay? I think so. Third finger comes in very handy. Okay, we're going to a poco menomoso. Good. Thematically very important. Okay, I have all of half a beat to go from 1. That's easy. It's dolce. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Oops. 3, 4, 5. Okay. 1, da da, 2, 3, da da. So 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, fingers not written in enough beats. Maybe on the assumption that I'd know where I was. 1 ba ba bum ba ba. 3 3 3 3 2. Whoops! I wrote E. I play D. I also play C sharp. He says play C natural. So I have plenty of time to get to that E. So here we go. 1, 2, 3. And a thumb here will come in very handy. 2, 3. 2 and 3 and 1 lento now. 1 2 2. I'm going to slow this down. And 1 and 1 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 2 and 3. Right. Then he's written ottavo for both hands. Okay, he's done the same figure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Get a C in there. So 2 and 3. 1. So it's all pianissimo. Lento 1, 2, 1, 2. Probably dialing up a 46 is in order. I may not remember it precisely, but I will know the general order of a 46. Dun, da, 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 dum, jump, up, bump, up. Probably when I have my electronic metronome, some version of it here, it'll be easier to dial up. Dun. 1, 2, 3, 1. Gotta have my hand shifted. Perhaps it would be useful to have my hand already shifted here on the second finger. 1, 2, 3, 1. Sure. Not that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So I got suckered into the very thing I'm well aware that my students get suckered into too. Namely, you get mesmerized by a repetition and you invest all your energy in saying, oh, isn't this great? I can play this over and over. Instead of investing in the time to look ahead, I certainly didn't need to be staring at the score. See, I can do this perfectly well without the score. And so on. I could have been looking ahead. Now, 1, 2, 3, 1. So none of those right-hand figures starts on a beat. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, shouldn't be playing triplets, I don't believe, in my left hand. That makes things come out evenly. It seems to be 32nd note tremolos. One. One. What did I say? I said that the right-hand figure never comes on the beat, and the score proves me wrong. 3. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So, well, boy, those are slow. If those are 30-second notes, 1. If I just want to make them as generic tremolos, same issue here. Be ready, look ahead. 2. 2. 3. 2. 1. Wrong. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. Get right. 1, 2, and 3, and what on earth? Oh, I see what the problem is. I'm missing a bar line which was hidden, practically hidden right beside a broken chord. So 1, 2, and 3, and 1, and 2, and 3. So it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Even the pitches are a little bit obscured by those broken. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. This is all lento, yes. So, still not convinced about. Mark that second beat, otherwise I won't play it. 1, 1, and 1, 1, and 2. Because a big problem is that I can't identify always spatially with what's going on the page. In other words, the way the notes are placed doesn't necessarily hint to me broadly enough where they are temporally. So I have to make sure that I tell myself where they are. So 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay, so 1, 2, and those are dots over those dotted notes. Okay, that sounds funny. Dots over the dotted notes, the dotted eighth notes have staccato dots on them, and so does the 16th after that. So I have 1, 2, and then there is one that doesn't have a dot, which is presumably to be held to the end of the measure. So I have 1, it differently, I gotta say. You could have written it as another 16th note or something like that. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 3, 1, 2. Okay, let me do that again. So 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Well, like 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So 1, 1, 1. A little slower for now. 1, 2, 3, need a good fingering, so I'll put it in fourth here. 3, 2, 2. Yeah, it's mostly for me. If I know that a note just precedes a strong beat, that's very useful. 1, 2, 3. Whoop, 3. 1, 2, 3, 2. This immediately follows a strong beat, so I have 1, 2, 2. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Okay, I need fingering here. 5, 3. Let me go back. 3, 2, 1, 2, 2. Okay, that was a poco written. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's correct. Yes, it is. 2. I really need to write the beats in because they're in rests, or at least the second beat is, and the third beat is. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, E, 1, and back. All right, let me go back to poker writ. 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, E, 1, 2, 3, 2, up. finish off that gesture. 2, 3, 2, whoops. 1, 2, 3. Okay, at this point I should have turned my page. Long time ago. Okay, let me get 3 in order. Two. 3. 2. How am I aided by my violinist? Let's see. 2, 3. Tempo primo. So. 3. A little inaccurate. 2. 2, 3, 4. I was saying to myself, that can't be an octave. And of course it's not, it's an F down there. Just had to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3. Way too fast. Back to 52. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Violin. 4, 2. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Piomoso doesn't say how much. 1. Oh, that's a natural. So 1. Oh, and he has the same thing. A 16th note picking up to the triplet. Da 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 da. Yeah, da 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 da. I imitate. So, yeah, da 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 da. This is where this cryptic thing R13. Don't know what it means. Too bad. Da 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 da. Seems like a lot of moving around for my left hand. That'll do. This is the wrong chord. So if I use 3-1 in the right hand, it helps me to get to the chord. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. I'm counting in 3, but it's in 4. That doesn't help. 1, 2, 3. Where's 3? I'm even singing the violin part wrong, I think. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Let's do that again. So Two, no counting written in. Add 2, 3, 4. This is end. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 4. Right hand. 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, E4. 2, 3, 4. 2, and 4, and so 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay, look. Conceptually, harmonically, this is not an E flat 7, but all of my conditioning leads me to believe that that's an E flat 7. So I'm going to call it an E flat 7 with a B, because that's the easiest way by far of grabbing it and identifying it. So I'll do that with any enharmonic that is useful to me when I'm learning a piece. 4, 2, 3, 4, 2. See how easy it is to find? 4, 2, 3, 2. It's way too fast, any. Well, maybe not. It's spumoso. 4, 2, 3. Another E flat 7. I think triplets I have marked from our rehearsal. So 2, 3, 4. Yup, up, 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 2, 2. Yup, up, 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 up. 1, 2 in slow-mo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So thumb helps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3rd finger here. Okay. 1. So 1, 4. That's right. So. Molto retard scherzando. In 2, 6, 8. 1, 2. 1. And he meola 1. 1. see. Scherzando. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Need a 1, third finger that is. Brother. Let's go back. So left hand then changes. Okay, page turn time. Okay, that was just a cursory review. Second finger. One, two. One, two. Two. One, two. One, two. Four there. Let's see. Let me go back. 1, 2. Yes. I have to hold on to this B, which is tied. But I have to let go of the bottom part of my left hand. Because it's eighth notes. That's better. so good. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2. 1, 2. 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Natural. Helps me with my hand placement. I measure 115. 1, 2. Oh, this is nasty. At 120, he beams the 16th notes so as to obliterate the second beat, which is not nice. 1, 2, 2. So 1, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1, and then he does it again. Well, I guess he likes the identity of these little tremolos. I've got a good fingering here, and I've got to peer intently at this note. This publisher could have clarified a little bit. There are two naturals written in the bass here that are just crammed against one another. Okay, that does it. 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2. Okay, that 2-5 is very useful. 1, 2, 1. If perhaps this practice session sounds, if you compare it to some of my others, more as if I'm talking to myself. I kind of am. I'm not so much, yes, in analytical mode, of course, to be helpful, but also in reactive mode, saying, oh, good grief, that kind of thing, often. So we all do that, I guess, but I'm letting myself verbalize out loud. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. 1, 2. I'm not finding those notes fast enough. Got to feel not just the sound for familiarity, but the sensations. This is actually a very reasonable motion. 1, 2. And I go 4, 5 in my left hand. It'll remind me of the natural G. Yes. Okay. As my partner reminded me, this should be in the left hand significantly legato, which will require, because of the nature of the writing, pedal legato. Because it can't be done any other way. And because there's a right hand non-legato, These all have dots on them, staccato dots. I'll need to be careful about what I'm doing. In other words, I pedal, I have to pedal late to clear this. There we go. That's right. I just have to remind myself of the simplicity of this gesture. Sometimes it's the most obvious stuff that we don't mention to ourselves. You know what, also, this would be a good place for a finger substitution. 3 to 4 to 5. This is not a possible one, but the first one is. Oh yeah. Don't go to thumb, I'd rather go to fifth and pedal. It makes it easier because the thumb, or rather, I don't have to worry about letting go of my left hand and pedaling late or moving late. I can move anytime I want. Then my pedal takes care of the job here. Slur. 1, 1, 2. This is the second beat again in weird combination. I understand 128. Schoenberg wants the slurs quarter eighth. They go against the bar line, so you have to be careful. 1, 1, 2, 1. Let's go back. 1, 2. That's right. it's all piano. One, two, one, two. One, your fingering will come in handy. If I go 3 in the right hand, the chromatic plays automatically. Then I have to shift to 2, or I want to shift, because that gets me down here to the thumb note rather easily. Yes. Very nice. Top of the page. Isolated chord. Diad. And I need to pay attention to lengths of notes. Let me go back. 1, 2, 1. How nice the right hand stays. Quite a lot. Now I've written 3, 4 for no discernible reason at 135. 1, 2. This is in 6, 8. 1. Oh, I see why. These are eighth notes. 1, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. Da 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 1, da 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 2, da 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 da. stretch. One, da-da, one. Good fingering there, I should expect it. Two, two, whoops. Two, two. Little fingering decisions are nice. They help to simplify. One, two, two. One, two, one, two. Second beat. Okay, so one, one, two, one, two, one. Whoops. 5 to 4. Sometimes when the notes aren't immediately apparent, just like a beginning pianist, you know, that the finger number may make a difference. 1, 2, 1, 2. Whoops. 1, 2. And there's going to be tempo primo and tempo primo material coming up. So okay, got to write some counts in here because we've lost our 6/8. 4, 4, 1, bup, 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 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, dip, bup, bup, 2, da, da, 1, 2, 3, 2, to the 3, to 4, to the 1, 2, to the 3, 4. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 3. Well, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 4. 2. Good. 5 and 3. And there's some big chords he writes in here, like major tenths.